First of all, thank you everybody. Thank you for those who are following us from Paris and for those who are connected remotely. We really appreciate that. We will go through sustainability in the next 15 minutes or so, and because we truly believe that sustainability is not just something fashionable, but it is one of the most important platforms for brand growth that we are experiencing right now. So we are going to show you that this is true, and this is true starting from consumer behavior, and this is the first part of my speech. Second one, we are going to see how the luxury brands are performing according to sustainability KPIs, and how it takes to win in this challenging time. So let's start from the very beginning. What I'm showing you are data points related to two great assets, I would say, that Kantar owns. The first one is Brand Z. Brand Z data are the one that Pierre showed at the very beginning of the event. And the second one is what it is called the Sustainable Foundational Study, which is absolutely a great and extensive study covering something like 35 countries across 35 different industries, recently published in July. And what we are going through here are the results of the European citizens, I would say, rather than consumer citizens. So let's start from the very beginning. As I mentioned, what we do is always adopting, a consumer perspective in whatever we do. And we can see from these numbers here, from these scores here, that people are really actively engaging in sustainability. Should we analyze those data according to a generational lens, these are even more extreme. But so people is demonstrating their interest into sustainability because they are interested in the news, what's happening about environment and society, more and more. But they do even more than that. They behave sustainably. They have decided to give their time and money to the brands that do good. And last but not least, they absolutely know that being sustainable is telling to everybody who you are and which are the value you truly believe. Doesn't mean that citizens are taking over the transformation, are changing the world we live in. Absolutely not. Businesses, brands are expected to take the leadership on that. And we can see that people expect brands to take part in the social conversation. They expect to create an impact on society and to impact on environment too. And all that means that consumers, citizens really believe that sustainability is not part of their duties. They expect brands to do that. And this is a sort of revolution, I would say, because that means that what consumers are expecting from brands is to be more and more impactful on society and on the environment. And this opens up, a completely different role of brands. And we call that, we say that we are brands that we are ushering in the era of the public, where brands are supposed to help consumer to behave more sustainably. Brands are expected, to fill the gap between my intention of behaving more sustainably and the fact that, it's very difficult to do it, because it's more costly, because it needs more effort and so on. So we expect brands to do that. We expect brands to help us doing that. But that's the first point. The second one is that I expect a brand to behave sustainably. They have to give the example. They have to create platform to gather, citizens around specific topic or specific issue. They have to demonstrate that they perform a sort of public, let's say, role. So the request from consumer to brands to behave ethically is something which is more real, more concrete. But we do know from our Brand Z database that being perceived as responsible is not good for good sake. It brings brand growth. It is strictly linked to financial and performance results. And we have so many data points. We have, our database is so extensive that we could create a sort of, framework and architecture to understand how the value is channeled from brand reputation through responsibility, brand trust, and brand power. Brand power is our measure of equity, but, you might call it brand preference, whatever you want. And, we applied, statistic around that. But the most important thing is that we could, in effect, say that brand reputation drivers have an impact on brand preference by 9%. And this is definitely, a great amount of power that we can, that the brands have in their hand when they activate reputational drivers. And the architecture goes more in depth because we wanted to understand better what, reputation is. And we created a framework around 4 pillars. We believe that, when we speak about reputation, we are in effect talking about 4 different things, which are responsibility, the fact that the brand has to show his leadership, and then financial success and value for money. And we measured the weight once more, of each and every element. And we found out that responsibility currently, contributes more or less 40%, half of the whole, effect of the corporate reputation. Is this something new? Well, think about the fact that 10 years ago, this value was about 17%. So it is a huge increase in the role of responsibility. And once again, we wanted to, to dig even deeper into this concept. So we created a framework around responsibility because we wanted to understand which are, the levers inside and their weight, of course. And so we have this framework around 4 pillars, which are, responsibility towards the environment, towards society, and treating employees well, being fair with employees. And of course, we do not have to forget our supply chain and, dealing fairly, dealing well with the supply chain. And once again, we can see here that there are 2 elements that are definitely standing out, which are, the environmental and societal responsibility. Now that we are armed with all the KPIs and, we know how to collect them, we know the relationship and how the value is transmitted from reputation up to preference, we can now enter into the second chapter and understand, how the luxury industry is behaving on those aspects. First of all, this is, that's brand new. Those are 2021 data. Corporate Responsibility Index scores 114. Let's think that, the average is 100. So it means that the luxury industry scores higher than the average of all the categories we monitor in Brand Z. And there are about 30 different categories. So first of all, it's relevant. That's what the scores say. And this responsibility perception played back by consumer are strong. Second one, it is increasing by 5 points versus last year. This is definitely due to, all the pandemic activities that luxury brands have done to support the pandemic. And it is due, of course, to all the sustainability transformation actions they have undertaken. But we wanted to understand if this is something, linked to the current challenging time of pandemic, or if this is a trend coming from the past. And so we did another analysis. We had a look at how responsibility and all these different levers were behaving, comparing them with respect to 5 years ago. So how are they? Did they increase, decrease? What happened? And we realized that in spite of the fact that 5 points increase is what we get from 2021 versus 2020, in reality, the trends comes from the past. So we have been increasing, the luxury industry has been increasing their responsibility score since 2016 by 11 points. And the two main dimensions, environment and society, increased in the same proportion. But we know that they have a bigger role in the overall responsibility. So all the different dimensions, in a way, increased in a homogeneous and harmonic way to impact on responsibility. And then what we did is, of course, to analyze which is the role of responsibility in terms of increasing, or better, impacting brand preference, as we did before with corporate reputation. We did that across all the categories. And once again, we discovered that in the luxury industry, responsibility plays quite a bigger role. Definitely, it is higher than the average of all the other categories, which score 100. So, as far as we know, right now, responsibility is playing a bigger role, and luxury brands are performing well. And once again, let's go back to consumers. There are challenges behind that. Yes, there are, of course. We truly believe that all the categories are under scrutiny, but luxury is under scrutiny in a particular way. So what we did is to ask consumer, we put something like 35 different issues in front of consumers, and we asked them to rank them, which is the most important or the least important. And then we asked them, listen, across all these issues, which do you believe are the issues that the luxury industry is facing? And that's what they answered us. We divided, we created a map. On the vertical axis, here we have consumers, the importance, and horizontal, the relevance for the luxury industries. And what they did, of course, what we did is to map all the different issues we have found there. Everything which is on the right-hand side of the slide is, of course, relevant, dramatically relevant for the industry. And we can see here, tax evasion, overconsumption, economic inequality, overpackaging, workers' exploitation. Those are all the elements that belong to what we call the shield. So those are the risks, are reputational risks that brands have to face. But if we want to understand better, which are the levers which we could use, to increase our performance, to take advantage of sustainability, we have to move in the upper part of the slides. And we can see that, everything which is linked to pollution becomes definitely more relevant for consumers. So, and this is where we are, and this is, how we map all the issue towards, with reference to the category. Let's see how brands are winning in the era of the public, what they did to be the vehicle of change that consumers expect. Those are here just a couple of examples, and the levers, the marketing levers they have adopted to being perceived, as a platform for change. First one is, related to raising awareness through communication. Here we have an example for Stella McCartney, and this is the campaign dedicated to breast cancer, and the behavior they wanted to impact is, of course, introducing breast self-checking as a routine among women. And disrupting category convention is another way, to raise awareness and to be perceived as responsible. And it's a recent news, the Kering Group is going for free. Third way, brands can take part in the sustainability stream is acting as an enabler, driving positive change through innovation. And an example of that is the upcycling for collection that Diesel prepared using garments and giving a new life to garments. And the very last one I wanted to mention is how brands can contribute to collective effort through partnership. And this is an example of Lacoste. that partnered with the International Union for Nature Conservation to point out, the species that were threatened by extinction. So is that easy? No, it is not. It is not, because in spite of everything, we can see that citizens are quite skeptical, and they truly believe, that most of them believe that brands are involved in social issues just for commercial reasons. So the challenge here is, how to be involved in sustainability without going beyond storytelling and beyond greenwashing or social washing. And we do not have, of course, any recipe, and we are just, looking at the market, looking at what is happening in the luxury market and beyond the luxury market. And we truly believe that, working on authenticity is a way to, being perceived or have the right to play it in this space. So I will suggest, Valentina, to add also authenticity as a fifth word, as a fifth keywords for the day. And of course, we have to use it. We have to, to pass from a claimed authenticity to a known authenticity. So it has to be recognized, by the people. It has to be recognized by consumer, and we have to, put this responsibility-led point of view when we talk about authenticity. So, just 4 key points to summarize. We live in the era of the public, and brands are expected, to drive the change. Consumers are not doing, they are simply, available, interested. They will give your time, their money, whatever, but you're not driving the change. Brands are. Secondly, responsibility is a platform for growth. It's not, something, well, it covers you, of course, from reputational risk, but please consider the fact that you have to set strong ambition and pursue them. Third one, the luxury industry is definitely on the way. We can see that they own the sustainability topic and they present themselves as an actor for change. And the fourth one is that authenticity, we believe, is the challenge. Being perceived as authentic gives you the right to play in this space. That's it for me. Thank you.